welcome back to the channel and welcome to another reaction video. Today I'm going to be watching, reviewing, and reacting to Season 2, Episode 2 of Mindhunter. Alright, so before I get into this, just a couple of things for those of you that are new to the channel. First, you may notice that in my previous video I was sitting at my desk. The desk is where I prefer to film most of the time, but unfortunately I do suffer from some chronic health issues, so I end up being sick or not feeling super great a lot, and so occasionally I will be filming from here instead when I kind of just need to more lay down some. So if that happens, like today, that's what's going on, and hopefully you won't mind too much. I just need a little bit more of a comfortable space from time to time. And speaking of not feeling super great, because I am a little tired and run down, I probably won't talk as much at the end of this episode as I usually do, but anything I don't get to, I'll talk about at the beginning of my next episode. The second heads up for those of you that are new, I take care of a bunch of kittens, and sometimes you'll hear them running around in the background of my videos, meowing, you know, playing with each other, knocking stuff over as kittens do. So if you hear just noises, random noises in the background, that's what's going on. Just try to ignore it. Hopefully they'll cooperate, but kittens. Alright, so I just wanted to get those things out of the way up front so everyone would know what was going on. And I think I'm just gonna jump right into episode 2 here and see where we go now that we've kind of established where we were at the beginning of this season in relation to the end of season 1. But, alright. Episode 2, Mindhunter.
Honesty since 1938. Young Texas, poor little Gladys Wilson. She had to leave town all of a sudden. Had to be a special kind of doctor in Cincinnati.
I don't think that's gonna be enough to help him at this point. Sorry, dear. Yeah. It's a little beyond that at this point in time. And isn't really just sexual, so...
No forced entry. The dog was in the yard when we got here.
It makes no sense to come into a house with an adult male and a dog.
Nothing makes sense. He took the money out of Mr. Otero's wallet, emptied her purse, and stole Mr. Otero's aviator's watch, but clearly robbery was not his motive.
And the driver's licenses were missing.
Yeah.
He was taking souvenirs. And he already knew what he wanted on his very first kill.
Yeah, because he hadn't planned on all
So
of
the
it.
dad would have been about here, tied to the foot of the bed. Police report said he was suffocated with a plastic bag and a t-shirt.
Later we found there was a hole in it. Mr. Otero managed to rip it with his teeth. Killer took the plastic bag off, put the t-shirt on over his head so he couldn't tear it again, and then put the bag back on.
It's so
Agonizing.
horrifying. It's so...
And Mrs. Otero was on the bed. She had double ligature marks.
Must have come to, so he had to do it again. We think that since it was his first try, he botched it.
The kids must have been in here. They had to have seen everything.
We found the youngest boy on the floor, suffocated.
2 t-shirts and a bag. So the killer learned. Took no chances. He would have brought the little girl in here too. Couldn't leave her alone.
There was a chair here with deep carpet indentations. We think he sat to watch the boy die.
That would have taken.
Between 4 and 6 minutes.
I feel like this is so
My partner and I were first on the scene. It was completely dark down here.
hard to put yourself
He was
in the
feeling for a
mindset
light
of, like,
and something bumped him,
it's like they're
That's when we
fucking, like,
found the little
blizzard or
girl.
something, you know?
hanging from this pipe.
Like you'd imagine if you were looking at like a snake. know, you'd think you would that it would just have no compassion. That's what these people say.
There was blood everywhere. I looked around, you know, for something to hit him with, but I thought the best chance was to get help.
So you ran.
Yeah,
It's the best thing you could have done.
I could have gone back in there.
We'd have lost you both. Kevin, thank you. If you think of anything else. Anything. Possible assault complaints.
High school education at best, has difficulty holding more than a menial job.
Kevin said he smelled clean. His clothes were nice. He wasn't angry or harsh. He sounds almost as ordinary and suburban as the victim pool.
Everyone we've interviewed is a product of a difficult home and a string of adult failures. They're all emotionally scarred. The only one who managed to keep a job was Brutus, and he was blue collar.
What about his letters that he writes to the newspaper?
He's equating himself with famous killers. Son of Sam, Jack the Ripper, Ted of the West Coast.
That's got to be Bundy. Who's Glatman?
Harvey, famous for binding and strangling women in the 50s.
Of course you know that.
He's studying them, modeling himself after them.
Look at this page. He actually gives himself possible names. I like the following. How about you? The BTK Strangler, Wichita Strangler, Wichita Executioner.
He's christening himself for the media, like Zodiac or Berkowitz naming himself Son of Sam.
Berkowitz also courted the press. He wrote directly to Jimmy Breslin.
Berkowitz also gave himself a symbol with initials. He used it on every letter he wrote.
Right. Had a cross on the top. Like this.
Look at our guy.
We have to talk to the chubby behemoth.
This is what we're doing now? Rearranging our interviews to serve as investigations? Because all of our subjects are important.
Berkowitz has
what
been
your
on the
boss
list since
wants.
the beginning.
Maybe, but we need to discuss where he fits into our analysis. I mean, he's a diagnosed schizophrenic.
So is Kemper as a juvenile.
We need to at least consider that Berkowitz is a blitz killer.
Controlled by a 3,000-year-old demon. People need to know demons are real. The Exorcist is based on actual shit.
You saw The Exorcist.
Everyone did.
You read a lot about demons and exorcisms before the killings?
Maybe.
Let's go to the first attack. We're fascinated by your mindset.
You're adopted, aren't you?
There it goes.
Yeah.
Bill's just like,
Just before this all started, I traced my biological mother. Found out she never wanted me.
That must have been hard.
My
always
adoptive
goes
mother
back to
told
the
me my
mother,
real
doesn't
mother
it?
died.
That often happens with adopted kids.
Voices came from inside the walls.
So, not from a dog. I'm just trying to keep it all straight.
They tormented me. I would tear the walls open looking for them.
Was that about the time you saw The Exorcist and read your books?
Around then,
I'm curious, you had this history of demonic voices, psychotic episodes. Why not plead not guilty by reason of insanity? Why plead guilty and never get a trial where you could explain your demons?
because I am not insane. I can't pretend to be insane. I knew it was wrong, but they made me do it.
Hearing demons is quite possibly the textbook definition of insanity.
They came to me, not from me.
Sorry to dwell on it, but it is the part that fascinates people. You know, two people are writing books. Your neighbor and some guy you gave your life rights to for whatever reason.
I'm in a legal dispute with him.
That book is gonna move like Big Macs. A guy who talks to dogs, hears demons. It's a crock, isn't it? There's no voices, no demon. The dog doesn't talk. You saw a movie, read some books, and made it all up, so if everything went to shit, you'd have a way out. Do you want to forever be known at the FBI as the guy who let a Labrador land him in jail for the rest of his shitty life? They all bought it, David. Didn't they? Even the shrinks.
Especially the shrinks. Hell, I believe some of it. I'm very suggestible.
Did you want to hear voices?
I kept reading about them. I got kind of tied up with my fantasies.
What fantasies are those?
Girls, revenge, and what you call a sex-starved daydreaming. That's just me, that's not clinical.
When?
You never know when it might come together.
How did you know what nights to go hunting? Did it have anything to do with lunar cycles?
Fuck no. I hunted every night.
Every night.
That's what it takes, commitment. You go out every night, but maybe once every few weeks you find the right girl, in the right place, the right time. I never knew what I was looking for, but I knew her when I saw her.
You ever take souvenirs? Something from the scene, maybe something from one of the girls?
No, I ran. The copycat, he takes things?
Yeah. David, did you ever go back to any of the crime scenes?
All the time.
Was it because you felt guilt or remorse?
No. If I struck out or there were too many cops, I'd go back to where I did a job.
You'd relive it.
Every detail.
The media got that wrong. He corrected the narrative.
So is he getting off on publicity more than the killings?
It's both. The killings were foreplay, but he was just as concerned with how he was perceived. Naming himself, communicating with the media. It all adds up to control. And Berkowitz can't control how women treat him or how he fits into his family, so he creates this monstrous persona, but really is just a dumpy, awkward mailman.
If we go by what Berkowitz said, BTK trolls every night. No one could hold down a real job, have a family, hunt, visit their crime scenes. He's got a menial job at best.
And no real relationships.
Certainly not with women.
Based on Berkowitz, we're gonna have to open up an entire new category.
A little off on
We've been
some of
looking at
that.
whether killers follow their stories in the media like Kemper did, but now we have to consider how they use the media to
Alrighty, well, that was episode 2. I think, though I enjoyed episode 1, I think that this one felt more like a return to form from season 1 for me. Episode 1, really, they needed to kind of establish where they were, get back into it, and deal with the loose ends, I suppose, from season 1, and this one you really start to see them getting more actively involved, in both interviews and cases. I thought it was well done, everything that they did with showing Bill going and starting to get gradually more involved in the BTK case. You know, from my understanding of the FBI's involvement, it was very much like this over the years, where they were, say, consulted and given some documents and you know, they went and checked stuff out, but they really weren't too actively involved. It was just something that they kept kind of coming back to occasionally over the years until he was eventually caught. But I thought that they did a good job of portraying information about a pretty horrific situation, and I do think that it's interesting how have chosen to kind of base the series around building this up. So while you have everything going on with the main characters and at the FBI and doing the interviews and establishing this unit all during season 1 and then now in season 2, you also have the flashes, moments at the beginnings and endings of episodes of BTK kind of progressing in his monstrous actions. I do think that's an interesting way to kind of go about this story. So I think that continues to be well done. I think it's interesting that we seem to be spending more time with Bill in his private life this season. You know, they definitely did some of that last season too, with his adopted son having some serious issues, but it was really mostly Holden's private life that we were observing, whereas the first couple episodes here, it's definitely been a lot more with Bill and his private life, and it's interesting to see where they're going with that. I also thoroughly enjoyed the Berkowitz interview. It's just some of the parts, I mean, the way he described saying that you have to be committed and going out hunting every night. Committed. Like, he's talking about it as though you're learning a new hobby, or like you're exercising or something to get in shape, when he says you have to be committed, like you have to be dedicated to it, as though becoming a killer is something that you have to work on, being a serial killer, you have to continue to work hard at it if you really want to do it or whatever. And it's just, I mean, it's just so strange, but I suppose it makes sense in terms of the overall mentality they're talking about of certain killers like him, BTK, where part of it for them is building up this presence, this persona in the media, a story, so that they appear extremely powerful and larger than life. So I guess that's what he is sort of meaning, probably with the committed. Yeah. But it is really disturbing. Like I said a couple times throughout, it's just hard to ever possibly put yourself in that sort of mindset, and I'm gonna continue to think of them as kind of like reptiles, I suppose. But yeah, alright, I think I'm gonna wrap this video up here. You know, as I mentioned, not feeling super great today, so thoughts are a little bit jumbled. So I apologize for cutting it a bit short, but if you think there's anything significant I missed, please do let me know in the comment section below. And if you have any other comments or questions, same thing, please leave them down below. Otherwise, I'll just say thank you very much for joining me. Hopefully I will see you next time. Bye.